Very excited to share this episode with you today because we really hone in and focus on cold prospecting. Sammy DeStefano is an agent in Arizona, more specifically Phoenix-Scottsdale area. And we go through a dialogue in this role play in this episode that I think will be incredibly beneficial to those that are looking to target an expired or for sale by owner or cancelled marketplace. Also, the mindset side of things. We talk about a little bit of technology, where he gets his numbers from, but the general approach of Sammy is something that I absolutely appreciate in every way, shape, and form. Just the velvet touch all the way through. And you absolutely need to listen through this episode because there is absolute pearls of wisdom in it for anybody that wants to embrace that prospecting is a portion of real estate in order to grow your business. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Sammy, welcome to Rethink Real Estate.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Today, I'm pretty excited to go through this with you because one of the hot topics that we always have on the podcast is cold prospecting. And I'll say this for lack of better terminology, most people like to hear about it because they don't have the guts to do it. So let's start there. You've been in real estate now going into your 5th year, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
And you're based out of Arizona, more specifically the Scottsdale Phoenix marketplace.
Yep.
How's the market at the moment?
It's hot in both aspects. I think it's going to be 105 degrees today, and then a lot of people are loving that rate drop 2 weeks ago, and we have another one coming up in about a week. So we've got a lot of listings we need to sell. We've got a few buyers that we're helping buy, and everyone's enjoying that the money's cheap.
Let's talk about just a couple industry things for a moment. Is that
Sure.
Interest rates are definitely fueling your market. What average price point are you in at this point?
I think our average price point would be about $600,000 to $700,000.
Okay.
In Phoenix, the average price is about $575,000, and then in Scottsdale, our average price is about $1.05 million.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I think that there's no doubt that the Scottsdale marketplace is definitely something that's well known, amongst all communities. It's one of those second home markets. Have you seen any volatility in the second home marketplace in there at this point? With just obviously the real estate market not being as buoyant as it once was, that second home market usually sees the effect of that first, like the Palm Springs market, like the Park City market and different things like that. Have you seen any cause and effect on that at this point?
I would say the best, you actually made it really easy right there. My friend sells in Park City, and I would say we have so much protection over our state because Phoenix-Scottsdale not only is a great retirement spot, and people do have second homes or rentals here. However, Meta and Lucid and the Taiwan microchip company, they're bringing in not hundreds of thousands of people, millions in jobs. And so Park City is a very small, expensive market. We're a very large, expensive market. So
it's a good point.
Hasn't slowed down much, maybe 10% through the summer, or 10% less sales per month.
Do you see that cyclical nature in your marketplace? Like in the summer, like it's amazing how it works so differently. Like on the coast of California where we're based in Newport Beach, summer's the time, you know what I mean? Like it's beautiful. Sure. There's an influx of people, it's great. And you see an influx of you guys on the other hand, you don't get that.
We get about 10% drop in sales, but what's really, really interesting to me, and I would say 5 years in the industry, I'm still pretty new, is the influx is mostly like in the agent's mind. And so going through the coaching and the producers I've spent most of my time around has protected my mindset, because if you ask most agents that are friends with mine that live here, nothing sells in the summer.
Right.
They think everyone moves to their other home in a nicer environment, which that's true. Our population goes down about 30-40%.
Yep.
However, with the internet, they are still buying and selling their properties, even though they're not spending time in our market during those months. So I love that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, no, it's I've found it fascinating to see that the different cyclical natures of different marketplaces based on the weather and the heat and everything like that. I think it's great. But let's get into the brass tacks of things, and let's talk about what we're here to talk about is the cold prospecting that you've built your business on. Can we just get a little bit of a synopsis over the last 5 years of sort of how you started, how you sort of started moving your way into the cold prospecting side? Because not many people get into the business go, hey, I want to call strangers about selling their houses.
Yeah. Well, I had a background in sales, and it taught me one thing. It was something we coined the term 180-degree rule. So in my past career, it was sales, and you can either wait for inbound or you can be proactive and go find clients that need your help. When I got into real estate, I saw that it was even more true in this industry, for the US at least. So some countries don't have the ability to, call people. They're not allowed to. We are. So I saw that it was something that no one was doing. And if no one is doing it, then there's no competition.
Yep.
So I wanted to specialize in the thing that no one was doing. So
Okay.
mainly calling, when we're successful, after we're hired to sell a property or help someone buy a property and we're successful, we'll then call 500, 600, 700 people in that neighborhood and tell them what we were hired for and then how we performed and ask if they have any needs coming up.
Wonderful. So how did you sort of refine the approach in the very beginning? Was there any one trainer? Was there any one training? Was there any one book? Was there how did you refine that approach in the very beginning?
I was really, really lucky. I met a agent in my market. Name was David, very successful agent, and I was very, very tenacious. I wouldn't leave him alone until he agreed to teach me. And so,
Right.
And you trade commission, you pay for his time. And so I paid for his time. He taught me how to cold call. And then from there were, there's always going to be companies out there that'll coach you. But where I found more success was getting into these communities, asking a lot of questions. Hey, I got this objection or this line I didn't understand. Does anything sell in the summer out here? Like I had to go into the statistics and see that actually wasn't true, and then share it with people. And so over time, I've paid for different agents' time as new mentors and coaches. And it's not the same coach as day one. My coach today is his name is Michael Putnam. He's out in Virginia, but their market's very similar to ours. And so past that, I'm going to keep it simple. It's almost like the gym is such a perfect comparison. It's just repetitions. It's very boring because you're saying the same thing, but it's only boring when you're focusing on the business. Once you're focusing on the person and the story, it sounds cheesy, but once you focus on the person and what they need, it's never the same.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's cheesy. I think that's a really great way of looking at it, because I think that there's a part of this, Sammy, that I can possibly see, because part of the business that we operate in is that a great deal of people use our advantage of our non-distressed auction platform to go and offer expired listings, something different that they haven't already received, right? Yeah. And a lot of agents external to our company are using our platform in order to do the same, in order to be able to cut through.
that's cool.
And I guess that the reality, though, is that when you look at these people, you try and refine, why were they not successful? Because there's a lot of people that are not that are unbelievable on the phone, that have a great work ethic. Like there's this one guy who comes to mind. Like this guy was making in excess of 250 calls a day, just pumping the numbers out really consistently, but it just didn't work for him. And it wasn't from a lack of effort. It wasn't from a lack of skill set. It probably was from a lack of what you just mentioned, not caring who was on the other end of the phone, just trying to get to that next number.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a very boring business, isn't it? Like once you learn how to be successful, you understand the patterns of success. Just repeat it, right? It's like running a race. You just keep, you know what to do. It's boring. You just run.
Yeah.
But it's what's happening in the mind that keeps it interesting. So with like the people, what I have found is the clients that I've met, whether they're hiring me to sell a manufactured home, which a lot of agents here won't even do, 60 to 120, $200,000 is a manufactured home in our market. Or if they're hiring me to help with the 1.7 million, which was last week, right? So I'm not a niche agent in one neighborhood. I'm everything. They're the same person.
Yeah.
Right? And they know the same people. And I've had people that had very expensive homes refer me to help someone with a $100,000 apartment. I've had to go the other way. And once you start paying attention to the people, then I start enjoying coming to work every day, because that's not the same as a cubicle. Sitting in a cubicle, you're going to get bored. you deal with people, but you're working for a company. So now we have these conversations, and it's up to me to either help them or try to help myself. And when I help myself trying to get money, I don't have much success. But when I forget about the money, I focus on what they're actually hiring me to do. We get it done. Obviously I'm compensated for my time, and they appreciate it. So it's the people for me.
Do you know what helps, Sammy, that you've been in the industry 5 years? Because let's say that we were having this conversation and this was your first year in real estate. There's a lot of people that will be listening saying the kid's naive, he's got no idea, he just hasn't met enough people he doesn't like yet, or whatever it may be. But I think it could be, it's interesting though. It goes one of two ways when you talk to people that do cold prospecting. And again, probably 80% of the time it goes in the direction that person is cynical on the humans in the world, because they're constantly at this point of friction where I think you're looking to take the friction out of it. Now, let's talk about how you do that. So the calls that you're making, first of all, let's talk about the technology you use or the software that you're using in order to do so. That's a big topic that a lot of people use that say, like, I know of Vulcan 7, I know of some internal products that have been built for our company as well. There's different ones like RedX, there's I think it was Espresso Agent and different ones like that. Where are you getting your numbers to call from?
I am getting the numbers to call from Mojo.
Okay.
Mojosells.com, but it's a Mojo dialer. I love it. Okay. And then the data I go through myplusleads.com, just a congregate website. The data is coming from the multiple listing service of Arizona. That's where the data is coming from. But these websites will put it in a really nice, easy to read graph.
Right. And do you find that the data is accurate? Do you find that there's some discrepancies in the data sometimes and the numbers aren't good?
I think it's always going to, when you're trying to reach thousands of people, I think there's always going to be, some of my personal friends have my phone number saved in my contact along with two others. And if they were to just ask me, is this your phone number? I would say, yeah, it was when I was 16.
Right.
And they still have it.
Right.
So now, that happens where we have old numbers. But I will say, I think this would be helpful for your agents is I wasn't having much success until I changed the way I was thinking about the calls. Okay. So before I was thinking, well, obviously, Ben had a home on the market. It didn't sell. He needs me. And you do, but I don't even know what the job is yet. I don't know when you need it sold, what you want it sold for. I don't know if there was a death in the family. Life is complicated. So if I talk with you because I bump into you on the street and your home is going to expire tomorrow, and I don't know that, but through casual conversation, it comes up, we're probably going to have a really good 10, 15, maybe even 20-minute call. It might even lead to an appointment where we can sit down and you can interview me for the job. I can interview you to see if I can even do that job.
Yep.
But when it expires that next morning, let's say we already had our appointment, the second person is going to call you at 8 o'clock in the morning and say, Ben, I saw your home didn't sell and I want to sell it. You're going to say, well, you know what? We actually do need to sell it. Give me your information. We might call you. We're talking to another person. You hang up. At 8:05, you get another call. You say, hey, Ben, I saw your home didn't sell. I want to sell it. I'm the best agent, number one team. You're like, well, if you're the number one team, then I'll take your information and maybe I'll talk to 3 agents and make a decision. We do need to sell it, but we're not deciding to do it just yet. At 8:15, you get another call. Hey, Ben, I don't know if you knew. No, your home didn't sell. I'd like to sell it. And that happens 10 times. And then agents will come to me or you and say, I called them at 10 o'clock. They yelled at me. They were mean and rude. I don't think this expired thing really works. Well, they've talked to 42 people that said the same thing. How would you feel? And so they're not yelling at you. They're yelling they feel like they're in the twilight zone.
Yeah.
Did I get put on a list? What the hell is happening?
Yeah.
So it's all about just understanding, and trying to be different, asking great questions so that you're not saying the same thing as everyone else.
And it's got me thinking as well, Sammy. I think that, it comes back down to schedule and routine as well. Do you want to be the first one? Do you have a type of routine that you come in with the day and how you start things off?
Sure. I have an ideal that I'm trying to hit. kind of like The Gap and the Gain is a book I'm reading right now. We all have an ideal that we want to hit, and then we have all this progress we've made over the years, so we focus on that little bit that we're not doing. My ideal is every morning, the thing that I actually am good about not skipping is I get up at 4 a.m. In between 4 and 6:30, I go to the gym, I work out, I have a morning routine to get myself awake. I get in the office by 7 o'clock. Some of my clients, because we're a second home market, actually live in Wisconsin or New York or Florida. So I'm able to call them because their time, it's 8 or 9 a.m., but it's 7 a.m. here.
Yep.
So I'll call those people first. And then the second wave, after it gets past 8 o'clock, because legally, and respectfully, we shouldn't be calling that early. 8 o'clock, I'll call the local people. And I'll just, I'll have a conversation. I do want to be first. I don't want to compete with 30 people that tried, and my clients will share what was said. Sometimes they're pretty disrespectful. Right. And they call up and they say, just to let you know, Ben, the agent you hired, you felt confident, they're actually an idiot. Yeah. And I can do it better. When can I come over? And you're like, you're not coming over.
Oh, that's amazing. So do you do it 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 3 days a week? What is the routine?
Sure. It was 5 days a week for a very long time. I just moved my schedule around. So it's now Monday through Wednesday at 8 a.m. And then Thursdays and Fridays, I've moved my schedule around to try to bring in some fun and happiness. So, I have commitments or groups I go to Wednesday night and Tuesday night. And so I get up a little later Thursday and Friday. And then because I get in later, I actually don't try to call those people. Right. Because I know I'm going to be number 50 or 60. It's not worth it. I'll call them Saturday, once it's been a few days.
Okay. Well, that's it. So then leading back into now what you say, okay, from a perspective of that you're picking up the phone, you're making a call to somebody that's your first phone call. Now, I don't think that anybody that understands cold calling isn't naive enough to think that sure, there's a percentage of time that you'll get an appointment off the first phone call, but that's probably a very small percentage. Are you just looking to engage with them, so therefore you can follow them up later? Like, what is the goal in that first phone call, and then what are you saying in that first phone call?
Because of my experience that I've only had, I didn't know this when I first became an agent. I've had times where I was hired to sell a home. We put it on the market for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. My client calls me and says, hey, take it down because my wife's job just got canceled and we actually don't need to move. Or my mom just went into the hospital and we can't leave her. Yep. Or the kids, or we're getting divorced, or whatever happens. There are reasons why they come off the market. It's not always a home that failed to sell. It was maybe a home they chose not to sell.
Yep.
I didn't understand that for years, Ben.
Yep.
So now I understand that you probably took it off for a reason. So I want to know what that reason was. Are you disappointed that it didn't sell, and are you still hoping to make that move? If you are, I'm going to ask you a few important questions. We can go into that if you'd like. And then we set up a time to actually interview, because I never tell them on the first call I can do it.
Right.
Like I used to say, what if I could sell it for more in less time? Then would you hire me? Idiotic script.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I didn't sell.
Yeah.
So I just want to interview for the job of hearing what you actually want me to do. And then at the end, we can agree to work together or not. That's how I handle it.
So you simply, I love that. I love that angle. You actually don't know why it actually came off the marketplace. So really in the beginning of the call, you're just simply saying, hey, are there personal reasons that the property didn't sell or it came off the market, or is it a circumstance thing? Okay. Understood. That's good. I really like that angle. I think it's a soft angle. The whole, hey, if I could sell your property within 30 days, for more money than what it was previously, would that be of interest to you? I feel like I'm in an infomercial. It's unbelievable.
That's what causes skepticism.
Yeah.
You're like, my agent tried to do that for 6 months. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
And those were responses I got back then.
Yeah, it's so funny. There was a situation 3 days ago that I was in where one of the agents that is in our company reached out to me and goes, hey, this person just sent this letter to my seller, and my seller now wants to sign with them, because they're saying they're saying that they can sell the house in a shorter period of time and all of that type of stuff. And I said back to the agent, I said, have you called them and spoken to them about the fact that all they're going to do is sign it up and then probably ask them to reduce the price later? Well, no, but now they want to sell them. Pick up the phone and just explain what is happening here. It's amazing. It is just amazing at the moment when there's conflict in the marketplace, there's a little more friction than there once was because things aren't happening as easily, is that people are cowering away from an individual conversation. Now, I can have this conversation with you, Sammy, because you speak to thousands of people every week that technically you've never met or that probably you won't meet. So at the end of the day, picking the phone up and having a conversation with those parties means that you're probably very communicative with your clients throughout the experience of the property being listed, I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah, and I would love to do this if that agent's watching, is if we just role play that, right? Yep. I've had that happen. Like, that's actually illegal in our market to contact my client unsolicited, or to solicit them when we're actually under a fiduciary contract relationship. That's kind of like an attorney calling another attorney's client saying you should fire him. So the thing I do is I have a conversation with your client. Absolutely. First thing is to call them. But if we really break down, as agents, we all think the same way, and we need to break out of that if we're going to be successful. So the first thing I would think of is, like, if I was the homeowner and I got that, how would I feel? So I usually call my clients and I say, that sounds like they're wanting to give you more and charge you less. Is that right? I go, yes. Well, that's something I would consider. And that's not something your client expected you to say.
No, of course not.
Right? And so you say, what I've found is, and this is only from experience, you have to be honest, but I've experienced it time and time again. You say, honestly, I'm a person that considers getting more for less too. I think that's called normal. We always want a good deal. And what I've found is so many times, I don't know if you've ever had the experience, Ben, where you kind of have that gut feeling that something's not right. You're kind of skeptical, but you push it down because of the savings. Like, what if they actually can get me $1 million for free? Push down that gut feeling, and then later you find out, I don't know if you're like me, but I feel stupid. I'm like, I fell for it. But I understand why you're thinking about it.
That's a beautiful approach.
Let's get together.
Yeah, it's a beautiful approach.
And like then from there, you could pull that agent's reputation. Let's just pull up their reviews. It might be that easy, right? Because if you've been conned or scammed, you usually leave a review saying, I fell for it. I hope others don't.
Yeah.
Or their production. But yeah, it's called normal. We all want more for less,
I love that. It's called normal. We all do. That would be appealing to me if it was true, for sure.
Yeah.
Now I want to just go back into the call. So that first phone call, you're basically just trying to hear them out around why things happened the way they happened. Okay. Yes. And whether or not you can then set a time to talk to them further about, the circumstance or what they might need another realtor for. So is that a follow-up phone call? Are you trying to close for an appointment? What is that end of that first call look like most of the time? And then what does the follow-up look like if it needs it?
Should we role play the call? Would that be
sure? That'd be helpful. So I've got a property in Scottsdale. Okay, it hasn't sold. It was a $2 million property, and it came off the marketplace. And you call me, ring, ring, ring. Hello, this is Ben.
Hey Ben, Sammy with Sotheby's. I was actually on my way into the office. I just wanted to be respectful. I realized that Main Street just came off the market and did not sell, and I was just curious. Are you kind of considering putting it back on the market to potentially sell it, or have your plans just changed forever?
Oh, look, we just weren't getting the offers that we wanted on the property, so we've kind of just taken it off to save the frustration.
You weren't getting the offers on the property. Okay. And we all have expectations. I guess, did you take it off the market because personally you need more time in the home, or is it maybe that you feel like it's just not a good time to sell it and get your price?
It just didn't feel like a good time to sell it.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think I understand that. I felt like that too, Ben. The reason I wanted to reach out is it's funny. I've spoken with probably 4 or 5 people just like you in the last few weeks. It is summer. Things are changing. Less sales are happening in real estate, but they all said the same thing as you. So I guess my question is, are you aware? I'm in the office right now. Are you aware that there were actually 7 properties? You were on the market for 90 days. There were 7 properties that have sold in the last 100 days. Between 1.8, 2.1 million, very similar properties within a mile from you. Are you watching those sales?
No, I haven't been.
Okay. I can't promise I can do the same, but I when I saw that, I was at least curious. So I guess I want to ask you, how did you end up working with that agent that you first hired?
Again, someone referred us to him. And
Okay. Yeah, honestly, that's a lot of people refer people to me. That's how the business works. So at the end of the day, the day one when you hired them, you were really confident, I'm guessing, that he could sell the home, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like that's changed. I don't want to step on any toes here. I think he probably did try his best. I would like to interview for the job of showing you what Sotheby's is doing to actually get homes sold through the summer when some people are struggling. Should we probably have that information ready by 4 o'clock tonight? Or, oh, wait, you're probably working until 5, so we can do 6 o'clock tonight. Does that work?
Look, we're just probably just not ready to consider it at the moment. We just want a little bit of time off the market.
A little more time off the market. So I want to be respectful. Is there any personal reasons why you probably wouldn't accept a full price offer like in the next week if it did come?
No.
Okay, so you probably would consider it. Let's do this. Because you're not even sure if you're going to sell the home yet, let's not do an appointment. I'll swing by. We'll do a very informal thing where I'm not even a realtor. I'll just bring you the information of why your home didn't sell and what you would need to correct to get it sold. And then you can turn around and tell me, hey, we want that offer by the end of this week, or we want to wait and accept it in 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
Between those two options, would you probably take it in 1 week or 3 or 4 if you had the option?
1 week if we had the option.
You would, okay. And where are you guys planning on moving when the home sells?
Look, it was just something that we're looking to, downsize a little, stay local.
Oh, so you do like the area?
Yeah.
Perfect. Most people make the mistake. That is actually the first step, Ben. I'm not going to make you homeless in this whole situation. So let's do this. Let's not even have an appointment tonight at 5:15. I'll bring the information over so you know what happened. And at the end of the day, would it completely offend you if after we sold this home for you, I helped you find the next home?
No, not at all.
It wouldn't. Okay, perfect. So before I come over, I have a few important questions to ask you. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I guess the first question, Ben, is it just you, or do you have a wife or partner that's wanting to help you with this?
My wife as well.
All right. Just how would I address her? What's her name?
Callista.
Okay. So when I meet with you and Callista at 5:15, just to explain what happened, at the end, if you feel comfortable, just completely confident that Sotheby's can get you what you're wanting in the time you were hoping originally, is that something you consider hiring Sotheby's for?
Yeah, I don't know that I could make a commitment tonight because, again, we don't want to be back on the marketplace for a little while. We just want a break.
The good news is you're in charge, so you can take that break.
Right.
But what I was saying is if you felt confident, comfortable, those are personal things to feel. If you felt like everything would go the way you were wanting so you can control it, is that a type of person you would hire?
Yeah, it would be.
Eventually, yeah. Are there any other agents or companies that you probably did want to speak with before making a decision, or not at this point?
We haven't thought about it, to be honest.
Okay, not a problem. And what is the most you feel a buyer would pay for your home in this market? And we could just pause right there. So these are called pre-qualification.
Again, you've steered me right into an appointment, regardless of just dropping off some information. Like Sammy, I think that's just an elegant velvet touch, my friend. Congratulations, well done, beautiful, absolutely amazing. That's the type of value that we want to deliver on this podcast, and I honestly can't think of any better way to sort of round it out and sort of put a bit of a bow on top of it. But I guess that the final question I've got for you for your business, or for those that are listening, is that, Sammy, what does this look like for you? And the reason I've had a really tough thing that I've been going through over the last month. Right, I was training for a marathon. I got a stress fracture in my shin, and I had to stop training for that marathon. Okay, so now I've got to get myself back into the rhythm of working out to the intensity that I was, because I do like doing it. I feel better about it, but it comes with those challenges, like no doubt that you have in your life, getting up at 4 o'clock in order to then get into the office by a certain time. And sometimes it's a lot. And at the moment I'm going through the notion of like, why are you working out? Because this is something that you have to get used to, that this is a part of your life until you die. Otherwise, you'll probably die earlier than what ultimately you want. Okay.
I like that.
Is cold prospecting the same for you, or is this a means to an end for you? Because I think a lot of people get into this side of the business with the wrong intentions of going, I'm going to do this for 5 years and then I'm never going to do it again because I'll have enough clients that I won't have to do this cold prospecting because I hate it. Or is this something that you've embraced, that this will be part of your business forever?
I think, man, that's such a good question. To summarize, I would say this. I'm extremely passionate about cold prospecting, because while it feels like everyone in the world tries to get their business, it's actually only 50 agents out of 50,000 in Arizona. Very small amount. And many mornings they wake up in a bad mood and they say, I'm not going to do that today. So it might go from 50 agents to 20 agents. So it feels like a lot when you get those calls, but it's really not a lot. The other thing is, so I love helping expired and canceled clients, because so many times you actually get them to open up past them saying, we're going to wait, we're tired of the BS. I have felt like that. So I know why he's saying that. But at the end of the day, is this move really important for you and your family? Well, yes, it is. Okay, there's probably business to be done then. And so many times the moving truck is packed and the engine was running when they realized, or they got the news that the buyer just canceled and they're not closing in 3 days. That's a person that needs help. That's like, holy cow. So I love that person. But on the other hand, I think the big reason why so many agents refer business to me, because that's a big part of my business too, is you help a client move and you know they're coming my way and you say, oh, Sammy's in Arizona. When you spend hundreds of thousands of hours prospecting and answering some of the most difficult questions in the industry while the person is upset and skeptical, that's not something I ever experienced from a referred client or a family member that hires me or a friend. That's easy business. They already want to work with me, but they're going to have some questions. And when they have questions, they all tell me, wow, I really appreciate how you answered that. It completely makes sense. So the prospecting for me is the constant practice, just like you running every morning, getting ready for the marathon, so that when the marathon comes and you get something to answer, you don't freeze or flee. Like you're ready to just answer. It's just a normal, I answered that 7 times this morning. Let me share it with you.
Yeah. It's kind of like that's muscle memory, that reaction.
Muscle memory. Yeah. And discipline is a muscle too. I've realized. So waking up at 4 a.m. actually feels good to me now, and it's very easy. If I sleep in, I'm going to be honest, this morning my alarm didn't go off. I was pissed. I got up at 6:30 and I felt like it was midday.
Yeah.
And that's because my routine's off. But I realized, wow, it's easier to get up at 4 a.m. for me now than it is 6:30, because I don't like breaking that routine. So it's interesting.
Well, again, I'm going to round out the episode, because at the end of the day, there's so many good gems in here that I want people to be able to see. Sammy, we appreciate you being so transparent about your business. Congratulations on the success that you've had in such a short period of time. We're going to be, I'd love to probably set up another interview maybe in the next 6-12 months, check in, see how things are going, see how your approach might differ in different marketplaces. A velvet touch, and we really appreciate you sharing on Rethink Real Estate.
Absolutely. And let me do this. For anybody that has any questions, just call or text me. It's 919-454-6482. And I know that you're going to post the information. Absolutely. But just feel free to reach out. We're not too busy for you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you again, Sammy. So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.